This man was unexpectedly transported to hell, but the environment here is so harsh that even the dust in the air could kill him dozens of times. There are even mosquitoes larger than mice. Again and again he was turned into jerky. Fortunately, he was granted the ability to come back to life by the system, to survive in this unfair world. Therefore he keeps fighting, continuously resurrecting after being killed, in order to trample everyone underfoot. Even if I am in hell, so what? This man's name is Jiang Zianwu, orphaned since childhood. He is a crystal lamp craftsman, dealing with this magically tainted sewage every day. The income earned is not enough to cover basic needs. In this world where everyone awakens their abilities, he is just an ordinary person without any abilities. But one day, Jiang Zianwu received a keepsake from his father. I thought it would be a family heirloom. I didn't expect it to be an ordinary necklace. Zianwu returned home with confusion, carefully pondering the significance of this necklace. At that moment, when he clenched the necklace suddenly radiated a dazzling light. As the bright light enveloped, Jiang Zian was transported to a blood-red enveloped place. He looked around, suddenly wearing a puzzled expression. At that moment, a sound of a bell rang nearby. A system panel appeared before him. It was prominently displayed above. Entering hell at the lowest level throughout the ages, the impossible achievement has been accomplished. You're the last survivor of hell, facing the sudden changes. Jiang Zianwu was suddenly panicked. He kept shouting into the distance, but no one responded. At that moment, the crystal table beside me emitted a glow, attracted his attention. Such a large crystal table. You should be able to buy 3 apartments in Shanghai. Just as he was still immersed in the idea of pie falling from the sky, little did they know danger had quietly arrived. In the next moment, the black mist passed through his body. Suddenly felt short of breath. Then a mouthful of old blood was spat out. At this moment, the system pops up a window. You are in a state of poisoning and paralysis. I couldn't breathe right after that. Stamina is continuously depleting, under attack by enemy forces. In this desolate place. Where did the enemy troops come from? With a ringing sound. The hints that came with the floating and sinking. There are 4 minutes and 32 seconds left to survive. Before long I woke up again. I thought I was dreaming. The first night begins. Please stay alive until dawn. I was filled with panic. Then he put on his clothes and ran forward, waving fists towards the ups and downs. But I died again. Survival time 5 minutes and 22 seconds. After dying 7 times in a row, I can't hold on any longer. Kneeling on the ground, he began to plead for mercy. But this is of no use at all. I died again. Survival time 11 minutes and 13 seconds. The 11th time, in the midst of constant death, my body's resistance has improved. I decided to adopt strategy too, absorb all the ups and downs. But I inhaled. Half an hour and I died again. The 14th time, through my continuous exploration, I understand that the best way to survive is to breathe. In my constant breathing, both toxicity resistance and paralysis resistance have improved. This reminds me, the heart technique taught to me by that stranger in my childhood. You can't just breathe with your chest. To draw the breath deeper into the body, you need to breathe using an organ deeper than the lungs. And this time I held on for 1 hour and 41 minutes. The 28th time, I feel an unusual lightness in my body. At this moment, the panel indicates that the toxins in my body have reached a critical point. Gained the rare skill, poison blood. Will no longer be harmed by poisoning. What on earth happened? Is it because I inhaled too much dust? Thus enhanced patience. Over time, the blood in the body turned into poisonous blood. I find it hard to believe. This is just ridiculous. This man died 28 times in one day, acquired the rare skill, poison blood. He breathed in the long-lost air, no longer let the ups and downs lead to my demise. He turned his gaze towards the crystal platforms scattered throughout the city. Jiang Zianwu was thinking about how to take them back to sell for money. With a single ring, the words asking whether to pick the crystal appeared on the panel. Jiang Zianwu was startled, said yes. The crystal disappeared from my hand. The male lead was so scared that his eyes rolled back. Then the panel displayed the information from the crystal platform. Jiang Zianwu felt that it was quite miraculous. Jiang Zianwu still excited. Suddenly a voice was heard. It feels like I've heard it somewhere before, buzzing incessantly. I turned my head to take a look. A swarm of mosquitoes rushed over. The male lead was so scared that he ran away. Damn it. What is that thing? The panel indicates that it's a level 3 mosquito. I certainly know that's a mosquito. But the question is, how can there be so many mosquitoes? The panel informed me that it was due to the influence of the title of the strongest being in hell. Before long, I was surrounded by a swarm of mosquitoes. They mercilessly bite various parts of the body. Then it flew out of his mouth. Before long, it was completely consumed. But what does that matter? In a moment, I was revived. Level up achievement accomplished. Hunt down more than 100 monsters in one go. The sound of the poison pit's ability points rising echoed in my ears. It was then that I realized what my blood had brought me. At this moment, the system panel indicates an abnormal status again. Infectious disease. Stamina is continuously depleting. Hearing this sound, I was so angry that I threw the chair next to me out. I narrowly escaped with my life. Now they say I have an infection. However, all the struggles are in vain. Soon, the system alerts me that a large number of pathogens have accumulated in my body. Stamina dropped below 10%. Reborn with the privilege of the last survivor. After several deaths, I have finally adapted again to the panel indicating that my illness has been cured. Disease resistance significantly enhanced. I can't believe so many tricks can be pulled off. It's absolutely amazing. At that moment, I realized I had gained a disintegration skill without knowing when. Did I just win this by smashing the chair? I never expected it. Just because I smashed the chair outside, I unexpectedly obtained a disassembly skill. This skill is, can breaking a chair leg really get you what you want? But there can be such big mosquitoes here. It's possible for something like that to happen, right? Since I have acquired such skills, then let's give it a try. I picked up the chair with both hands. Speaking of disintegration, with a loud bang, the chairs scattered around. Everything is neatly arranged there. I picked up the longest wooden stick, thinking to myself, if I could gain the disbanding skill like before, can we also create crafting skills? The familiar panel has appeared. Acquire skills to create. Unexpectedly gained 2 valuable skills at once. So I turned my attention to the pile of mosquito corpses. Begin to understand the disintegration. I didn't expect dissecting mosquitoes to be so exhausting, but I still managed to extract most of the mosquito's needle, wings, etc. Although I have obtained so many props, but I still don't know what they are really for. So I gathered those items together and started making it. Hell dart successfully created. I carefully held the dart in my hand. It looks like a consumable, but rare items can be manufactured so easily. It seems worth studying further. looking at the remaining materials. I plan to make a big effort. Legendary bullet production successful. Production capacity has significantly increased. I looked at the unidentified shell. Is this what legendary items look like? With growing doubts. The panel reappeared once again. If the unidentified bullet doesn't observe, then I just don't know what's inside. The probability of survival and death is both 50, can be incubated under specific conditions or through rewards. I reluctantly placed it in my own embrace. But a long time has passed. It's of no use at all. A loud noise suddenly came from behind me. At this moment, the worst low-level goblin appeared in the game. Right from the start, they want to take my dog's life. A loud bang echoed. I jumped down with a big leap. I turned to look at the window. A goblin walked in, holding a 39-meter-long sword in hand. It was just that unintentional gaze. He swung the blade right at me. Unexpectedly, I managed to dodge it. Then I ran up to the upper floor ahead. The sword is about to catch up. With a big wave of my hand, the broken wooden stick appeared in my hand. Looking at the attributes on the panel, it turns out to be a level 20 red hat goblin. After we fought for 9,981 rounds, my stick was just chopped in half. He swung at me again. It's good that I slightly improved myself. His slash only tore through my clothes. I thought, this goblin is too fast. I can only give this method a try. I took out the 3 hell darts I had made earlier, threw it towards that goblin. Let me show you how powerful this is. The goblin swung his large sword. 2 hellish darts were forcefully severed. One of them ended up stabbing into the goblin's arm. Just as he was full of confusion, blisters have formed on my hand. I don't know if it's just very itchy. The goblin raised the big knife. Only a crack was heard. The goblin was cut off and fell to the ground. I quietly washed the fallen gobu. Is that hand because the dart was stained with my blood? Is that how it became? Suddenly, the goblin vanished. When I saw it, he has already come to the top of my head. A knife is swung towards me. A perfect half-moon lay above me as I lay on the ground. The goblin stepped on me twice in dissatisfaction. He walked out with a cold smile. Are there still surviving humans? I was suddenly killed by the red hat goblin. Fortunately, as the last survivor, I can be reborn. Damn goblin! I will repay everything I have suffered in full. Lying on the ground, I finally completed the task on the first page of Hell. Obtain the silver box. Upgrade rewards through difficulty adjustments. The silver box turned into a golden box. Return tenfold opportunities until the next task begins. I struggled to grasp the return stone that had appeared on my chest. With a swipe, I find myself in a courtyard. Raindrops fall beside me. I slowly sat up, looking around at the familiar scene. Excitedly shouting, "I'm back!" I pulled off the necklace from my chest, striking hard against the ground. But just at that moment of effort, memories flood into my mind. Discovered a large crystal plaque. Acquired disassembly skills, making an unknown et. In the end, it was still not thrown away. Instead, she clutched the necklace tightly in her hand. The teaching assistant, Yu Min, suddenly saw me kneeling outside, hastily ran towards me with a worried expression. "Really? Why are you just sitting here looking like that? One could easily fall victim to magic addiction." Hastily took off the raincoat and draped it over me, not worried about myself at all. Before long, I was wrapped like a heavy iron and brought into the room. Yu Min took out the magic pollution cleaner again to give to me. I originally didn't want to use it, but in Yu Min's playful fighting and teasing, I still gave in. I walked out after washing up. When I heard that today is the 11th, I was in shock. You men saw me like this. Quickly asked if there was anything recent happening. I couldn't reach you for 2 whole days. She is still complaining that she has been working alone these past few days. I lifted my chin defiantly. It's only been 2 days. I feel like it's been years since I was over there. I wonder how I ended up in the industrial district. I was clearly at home before, then suddenly fell over there. Yao Mingsu's voice startled me awake. I quickly covered my body with a towel. Yumin awkwardly turned her head. I wanted to make an excuse about going out to buy some daily necessities. I finally returned from the hell where even goblins could kill me. Surprisingly, there's a girl who cares about me. Please help me buy daily necessities. I saw that she had already left. I opened that familiar panel. There is a golden box inside. Due to the influence of SSS and the lucky title, Reward Upgrade. As the talisman in front of me burns, obtain the legendary skill Combat Assistant. Looking at the card that suddenly appeared in front of me, I fell into deep thought. Many abilities holders don't even have skills. Having a rare level skill will grant special privileges. Only 7 people in the world possess legendary skills. So that means I am now the 8th person to possess a legendary skill. Assistants should belong to auxiliary skills, right? How can there be no explanation at all? At this moment, Yumin returned with the clothes. I unconsciously clenched my fists, waving forward. Yumin also looked embarrassed. Speaking of, just pretend I didn't see it. Wearing clothes, I sat beside Yumin at the table. I should have taken you to the hospital, but you seem to have no problems at all. So I took you home. If you are a capable person, there is no need to worry about magical pollution anymore. But are you an ability user? If that's the case, why become a picker? I looked at the clothes that fit well and replied, I just gained my abilities not long ago. Then I changed the subject. Yumin, you've been doing research lately, right? Then you can help me take a look at this. While Yumin was still in doubt, purple flames appeared in my hand. As the flames coalesced, they transformed into a massive crystal platform. Yunnan was in shock. Then I asked how much this 1 kilogram crystal table is worth. Ability users below the dungeon level. I brought out a piece of crystal from inside. It made the crystal platform researchers kneel down, asking about its origin. At this moment, Yumin's gaze was fixed intently on the crystal platform. This is at least a 5-star crystal table. Then I nodded and asked, Yumin, you became a picker for research purposes, didn't you? But this can't be given to you. But I can tell you how to obtain it. Yumin gritted his teeth and mentioned some method. Then just help me sell this. Yumin covered her forehead and said, What a joke. Such a scale can't be resolved with just 1 or 2 certificates. A little smaller. It sells relatively well. The words were not finished. Then came a sharp crack. I will break that crystal stand in half. Yumin was so angry that she crazily pounded my back, with tears in her eyes. Is there really more? I hurriedly replied, Of course. Now we can sell it, right? But I still have 2 requests. First, the source of the crystal platform cannot be disclosed. Secondly, I cannot reveal that I am the seller. Watching Yumin at the crystal table, still shedding tears, said while crying softly, If that's the case, it's indeed better to sell them separately. But it's such a pity. Is it really that regrettable? That's because you don't understand. That's why you say that. This is only when the dungeon is first opened. Only then can high-purity crystals be harvested. These treasures are equivalent to blank checks. But now I have to break them apart with my own hands, then sell it. Looking at the excited Yumin, I also said we should wait to see the sales results before giving it to her. I got up, picked up my clothes, and was ready to go home. But that girl let me sleep here. Then I will respectfully comply. The night quickly passed. In the morning, Yumin is full of energy. They greeted me and then went out. Can you believe it? I am an ordinary person at level 0. Unexpectedly, because of an ordinary stone, became a capable person traversing hell-level dungeons. After several back and forths, I finally understood when I was in hell. Time in reality is also passing by. Moreover, the task's timing corresponds to real time. And now the biggest problem is, every time I return from hell, my position in reality changes. So why does the position always change? I really can't understand. Then I turned my attention to the legendary skill combat assistant. At this moment, the panel displays the skill introduction of the battle assistant, recording and controlling the actions of ability users, predicting enemy movements while correcting hit accuracy, belongs to auxiliary judgment skills, and the assistant in the game. This also refers to this type of abnormal operation without cheats, right? It seems that putting that kind of abnormal operation into skills is quite legitimate. It seems like in this hell, without those fraudulent means, it is fundamentally impossible to persist. At that moment, I stood in front of the sandbag, activated the battle assistant. The crazy pounding on the sandbag, the sound of clapping echoed continuously. But it seems like something is off. I feel the power slowly concentrating in one place. I swung my fist with all my might. The sandbag was pierced in half by a powerful force. I looked at my tingling left hand, faintly understood the purpose of the battle assistant. That means correcting one's own actions. That was simply amazing. With the sound of a bell ringing, the beginner task has started. Please handle the novice scarecrow. I feel quite helpless. It's already level 7. Are you still doing beginner tasks? But it's nothing serious. Anyway, I need to level up. I put on my clothes and slowly walked deeper. A strange aura wafted in. I slowly walked down the stairs. 5 mechanical scarecrows appeared. I never expected this. The system says new users should use a scarecrow. It turns out there are 5 strangely shaped ones. Humanoid robots. They have no ranks at all. And they stood still in place. Are you just standing here for me to hate you? I don't think the task will be that simple. They shouldn't suddenly move right. That's too scary. It's better to be careful. So I slowly picked up the wooden plank from the ground. Take out the hell dart from the backpack. With a swoosh it hit on one of the scarecrows. With a loud clatter, I was also hiding behind the wooden board. A long time has passed. I leaned out to look at him. Indeed, there was no reaction at all. I boldly walked up to a scarecrow. With all my strength, I struck the scarecrow in front of me. But he doesn't seem to have been hurt at all. A series of crackling sounds. The 5 scarecrows' eyes turned red. Target identification completed. Level 1 practice begins. Level 7 voice. Damn it. I can't believe I matched with someone at my level. This cannot be announced in advance. The story isn't over yet. Then the scarecrow struck with a punch. Fortunately, they encountered a slower pace than before. In real life, it could be a treatment equivalent to that of a military general for over 5 years. Yet this is surprisingly just for beginners. He retreated several steps. I clenched my teeth and stood up. You guys are all doomed. Then activated the combat assistant. I looked around. The scarecrows have surrounded us. I assumed a standard fighting stance, cautiously observing their movements. Number 3 suddenly swung their fist towards me. With my mind intensely focused, I immediately squatted down. His punch flew past, barely brushing my hair. I seized the opportunity. He swiftly delivered a hard punch to his abdomen. He directly knocked him out. At this moment, Number 2 suddenly tightened their grip around my neck from behind. I was suddenly choked and gasping for breath. But I didn't give up. I raised my left hand high. A heavy elbow strike landed on his stomach. Then he turned around and threw a heavy punch at his face. There was a loud bang. Number 2 was hit by my punch. The metal on the surface of the face has started to peel off. I thought I should have dealt with him. Little did he know that his eyes shone with a red light. The electronic Eagle has once again issued an update on the combat target information. Secondary training begins. Is this really just a novice-level scarecrow? It's just too shameless. Reach out to me. All parts of the body, including arms and legs, were grabbed. They bound me tightly. The scarecrow hit me punch by punch. My consciousness gradually became blurry. Thud, kneeling on the ground. Stamina has dropped below 10%. Reborn using the last survivor privilege. I gently cleared my throat twice. Consciousness gradually awakens. I slowly stood up. Since you all are skilled in martial arts, at the very least, I need to reach this level for it to be fair. A stick appeared in my hand, although the durability is relatively low. But the damage is too high to endure. The male protagonist charged forward with a wooden stick. With a single strike, the scarecrow's arm was broken. Robot No. 1 looked at its severed left arm. The right arm gradually began to change. Dismantle and reorganize. A long knife appeared in his hand. Other robots also transformed into weapons. Still haven't reacted. I was beaten to death by a group again. Survival time 5 days, 84 minutes, 16 seconds. The revived me looked at the robot in front of me. Decide to adopt a strategy. In a one-on-one battle, I still have a chance of winning. I tied the remaining 4 robots to the stone pillar nearby. Then engage in a one-on-one duel with Robot No. 1. As a fierce battle raged on, that robot has already been smashed to pieces by me. Expose the core inside. As long as we take care of that, I can achieve victory. But the stronger these guys are, the stronger I can become. But the evolved robots are too powerful. Strangle me to death. Kill me with your knee. Bounced to death. Kick me away and let me fall to my death. After being punched, my head spun several times before I died. So, how many types of martial arts do these guys actually know? I haven't reacted yet. Robot No. 4 has assumed a battle stance. I slowly stood up. With a cold smile. I thought I wouldn't die under the bare-handed kung fu. Apply slight pressure to the right leg. Quickly rushed towards him. A wave is just a punch. Robot No. 4 sidestepped to avoid it. I turned around and delivered a spinning kick that struck heavily against his arm. He stepped back several paces. The robot covered its broken eye, signaling the start of a romance at level 4. When I realized I was already at level 4, 2 fingers came right at my eyes. The sudden pain made me close my eyes as I fell to the ground. The robot opened its eyes wide. A sudden bite on my thigh. I let go of my hands covering my eyes. Screamed loudly. Are you kidding me? Actually biting someone. After 9 attempts, I finally realized 3 facts. The highest combat level of the first scarecrow is level 4. The battle mode will no longer change. Second, the actions of the Daakao people are regular. Any slight change in their actions will immediately stop making corrections. Third, they don't necessarily have to be smashed. After sustaining some injuries, the traveler will stop moving. In other words, there's no need to completely smash them. So I frantically attacked, knocked them down one by one. As the sounds of battle ended, mission accomplished. Looking at the task completion notification, I laugh heartily at the sky, looking at that pile of scrap metal, very relieved. I also collapsed to the ground with a thud, looking at the still trembling right hand. These damned straw men. Is this a sparring match of the same level? Isn't he a high-ranking teacher? Rather than saying I learned something, rather it can be said that some fighting techniques were instilled. Let's first see what rewards there are. Can you believe it? This ordinary road cannot be taken. The ordinary yellow cloth turns out to be a legendary treasure. I looked at the yellow cloth in my hand. I can't help but speculate. Is this a burden? Wrapping it around the head won't make someone smarter. But a long time has passed. Nothing happened. If I get seen, it will be a huge embarrassment. Even if I want to use it when I'm injured. But after I was resurrected, the body is perfectly healthy. So what use does this piece of cloth have for me? Just take it back and sell it. After all, it is a legendary treasure. It should be very valuable. I scratched my dazed head. By the way, growth might have an effect on that strange egg. I opened the props panel and took out the egg. Cover it with yellow cloth. But a long time has passed. There's no response at all. Why not just sell it directly? A loud clap. The yellow cloth gleamed with a golden light, bursting into diamond shades, dispersing in the air. Lu Chu was shouting about the hunt for eggs. Wait a moment. What if a terrifying man-eating monster comes out? I don't have confidence that I can defeat it. The egg has already been hatched. Now it won't stop. Its outer feathers slowly drift down. The eggshell inside has developed a large crack. Then the whole egg emitted an extremely bright light. I instinctively raised my hand to shield myself. After the radiance, a petite and charming girl with short hair is quietly lying inside, fast asleep. I was shocked. What an odd thing. At this moment, the young girl seemed to sense the changes in the outside world, opened my eyes, revealed blood-red eyes. The young girl wore a short skirt in red and black, sat up from his bed with sleepy ease. Behind her there were a pair of translucent wings. I looked at this girl, who was only the size of a palm. Is this a fairy? This cute girl looks drowsy and sleepy. It turns out it hatched from a mosquito egg. It immediately bit my finger. She inherited the characteristics of a mosquito. With a scream, I threw her out directly. A perfect parabola. She was thrown heavily to the ground. What kind of reward is this? Are you kidding? I blew on the bitten finger. A disgusting sound reached my ears. I turned to look at that cute girl. Her pitiful appearance touched my heart. I let out a soft sigh, took a candy from my hand. But the cute girl shook her head wildly. Do not want this. What do you want to eat? The cute girl pointed directly at me. I also point at myself with my finger. The cute girl nodded without hesitation. It truly is a monster that devours people. Then she pulled out a straw from somewhere. It pierced into my arm, slowly began to drink. I poked her big head. Stop drinking. Impatiently, she pushed my fingers away. Really? Understood. Just a moment, I will help you stop the bleeding. Then started licking my wound. This is too dirty. This is, after all, an egg obtained from dissecting a mosquito. So it is a mosquito spirit. But when I saw the large lump on my arm, I understand now. This is not just a mosquito, but a wild mosquito. But that mosquito spirit was still not satisfied. Speaking of slaves, it's time for dessert now. I was instantly furious. Grab it in one hand. What? Please say it again. I just drank a lot. Thank you, my servant. As she spoke, my hand gradually runs out of strength. Hold her tightly. In the end, the little girl finally yielded. I also slowly let go. My name is Jiang Ziamu. What exactly are you? The little girl puffs up her cheeks. Think hard. In the end, I still couldn't remember. Indeed, the cuter the creature, the more dangerous it is. The cute girl in front of me is about to face the end of the world. Devour all living beings. Should I kill her right now? I scratched my arm that had been bitten. This little guy claims he will devour all living beings. How is this possible? Isn't my blood toxic? At that time, it melted the goblin's hand. The little girl proudly puffed out her round belly, spoke arrogantly. Are you scared now? I poked her protruding belly with my hand. Why did she have no reaction after drinking my poisoned blood? And because she has no hostility towards me. So I can't start the battle assistant. I don't know her ability values and level. This guy probably won't sell either. It's better to tame it and keep it as a pet. But she is now being spoiled to the point of a bellyache. It's time to eat. I scratched my head and said, let's just trust what you just said. Let's give her a cute name, Lenin. She also picked up her little hands and said she liked it very much. It makes me very proud. But she said the reason she likes it is in the fairy rain. It is very similar to the one who brought about the apocalypse. I spoke the truth right there. Forget it, forget it. If you want to follow me, you need to promise me one condition. That means you absolutely cannot eat people. The most important thing is not to eat the butler. Even if I have to starve to death, can only eat others. Renan reluctantly agreed with a pained expression. But when I said I could give her blood to drink, she excitedly drooled again. At that moment, the system suddenly beeped. Battle Assistant adds the feature of strong strike. Unexpectedly obtained a new feature. Does this feature only activate when using skills? I immediately brought over a decommissioned smelting robot. I plan to try out this new feature. I swung a punch at her. With the strong strike characteristic, my punch has incredible explosive power. He directly tore her apart. The parts scattered all over the ground. I was shocked. Is it really that strong? Renan behind me also excitedly said, she wants to give it a try too. Then she swung her fist again at the robot. The robot was smashed to pieces by her. I was dumbfounded watching from the side. I never expected that such a small body held such great energy. This is because I attacked the refining robot. So the other robots were activated again. I was already prepared to torment them again. Who knows why they walked up to me and suddenly stopped? The Awakener has ceased combat status. What is going on? What does Awakener mean? Little did I know. The robot in front of me pointed towards a pile of clutter in the corner. I slowly opened the clutter. I unexpectedly discovered a skeleton that had been lying behind a table for who knows how long. Do mosquitoes like to eat bones too? But this mosquito suddenly exploded and started to chop at the fingers on the table. Seeing this situation, I snatched my finger away, shouted loudly, "Dead things cannot be eaten," just as I was putting the thumb bone back in place. There was unexpectedly a letter beside it. Entering the 3 years of nightmare difficulty. The situation is gradually worsening. A newborn child passed away in the air. People became increasingly panicked. Even the empowered chose to commit suicide out of helplessness. Hope gradually fades. Humanity is heading toward extinction. Looking at the contents of the letter, I can hardly believe it. Is this true? From this letter and the recent information I've seen, this shows the future of the world. Moreover, the high-level abilities users have all died. But it doesn't mention who the sender is. Lenin took a stone from her palm, asked me whether I can eat or not. I looked at that stone, returned to the stone, but it looks a bit different from mine. I took out my return stone to compare it again. There is still a significant difference. Could it be the belongings of this skeleton? Then Lenin handed it over to me. But at the moment I touched it, the stone sparkled with intense light. My hand feels like it's firmly stuck. No matter how hard I try, I can't pull it back. A sharp crack. The strange stone shattered. I gritted my teeth and pulled that hand back. But he couldn't stop trembling. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in the palm of my hand, turned over my palm and looked. The rune of that stone is now in my hand. As the panel appeared, the stars began to pay attention to you. Something like a starry sky appeared above my head. Lenin flew to the side and said, "Butler, you better hope for the best." Before long I was consumed by that mass, arrived at a mysterious place. This male lead is too unfortunate. At first, it was because of that stone that I crossed into hell, died 33 times in a row. Now I have traveled to this unknown place because of this stone. Who did I provoke? Why worry so much? I looked at the silent starry sky around me. Where exactly is this place? I shouted loudly for Lenin's name, but there was no response. Just as I wanted to shout, a panel appeared in front of me with a pop. Balru of the forward star. The star fragment has been absorbed by someone. With a swish, an unknown thing darted over. The system prompts that it is Balru. I am very disappointed in my value. Gave up the star fragments. Chose to leave. I was so angry that my whole body trembled. I was already getting really annoyed. Now you're pulling this on me again. He raised his middle finger directly in the direction it was leaving. What do you think you are? Why do you feel disappointed in me so casually? I pounded on the panel with all my might. What is that thing? What kind of stars are there? I haven't even heard of it. Please explain it clearly to me. The owner of the stars is in a corner of the universe. The existence of having one's own absolute territory. They hope to piece together fragments. Lend your powerful strength to others. Make the other party the dominant one, continuously expanding the territory. But why would those guys take an interest in me? Because you hold a piece of a star fragment. So they want you to become one of their own. I understand now, too. The one that Rainian found is not the return stone, but rather star fragments. Just as I was deep in thought, various strange celestial bodies are flying towards me. The yellow celestial body reveals a captivating allure that confounds everyone around me. The orange celestial body proposed that I command an army of steel and fire. The purple crystal asked me to help them find the snake that could swallow the whole world. The blue celestial body suggested that I rule the world behind the dark curtain. The green prophecy I will become the master of all death, just when I was still in doubt. The system explained that they saw my potential, want to invest in me. I never expected that. These wicked stars have come for me. It's actually because my personality is similar to theirs. So it turns out my true nature is that of a schemer, greedy ghost, emotionally unstable patient, narcissist, and those with anger regulation disorders. I burst out laughing. Really? Will I fall into hell? Is it because I'm a bad guy? In an ordinary life, I kneel on the ground. I can't believe I'm a a villain embodying all evils. This is impossible. I slowly lifted my head, although I am not that upright. But I haven't really done anything. Are you saying that I was not aware of these? But at least I'm stronger than those guys, right? I waved at the stars in front of me and said, I want to ask a question. If a choice is made, will there be any changes? The shimmering light of the blue star floated over. With a loud bang, it scattered. Show a series of scenes. Can't help but marvel at the power of the stars. At this moment, the panel urged me to choose a guiding star. But based on my experiences during this time, they can't just give you such a good thing for nothing. So I asked, do I not have to pay any price? But the panel gave me an answer. Indeed, all that is needed is to serve and follow. But is it really like that? The stars will nurture their followers. The subordinates carry out the will of the stars. That's all. Do I have to choose now? The system is also at a loss for words. Say it again. Choosing a star to follow is a rare opportunity. The sooner you gain their approval, through trials, one will grow faster. I rolled my eyes directly. In other words, right now, it doesn't offer me any benefits. Right? However, free labor without any cost is not needed. It's still quite good. After all, it was them who came to find me. It wasn't me who looked for them. But we just met today and don't know anything yet. How should I choose? There is still nothing trustworthy. There is no contract either. Even second-hand transactions shouldn't be like this, right? The Heart of Orange conquest. He seems to be a hot-headed guy. As soon as I heard myself dragging on, I said, Sci-Fi is gone. I waved my hand at her without a care, speaking, all right, let's go. No other stars to send. Seeing my indifferent expression, I agreed. Give me time to decide. I laughed heartily and told them, you must think carefully. Respond to them as soon as possible. Then the starry sky gradually lifted like a canvas. My surroundings transformed back into the familiar room. This is the yellow thinking rain star, yet still by my side, never leaving. It suddenly flew to my side. A surge of electricity was released. Then, feeling embarrassed, it flew away. I felt a sharp pain in my hand. At this moment, the system prompts me. Thank you, Si Yu Jai Sing's Meng Si Ti Lai. Awakened a part of your abilities. Obtained the legendary skill of control. Goodness gracious! Is this a greeting gift? It seems that this Seiyu star has high hopes for me. But these guys can easily give away legendary skills. Why can't we stop this world from becoming hell? Except for me, there are definitely many more people with potential. I bowed my head in thought. If it's to the extent that even the able ones cannot support it, then it is very likely the hell built by those stars. It seems I need to learn more about those stars. Returning from hell to reality, I realized that 3 days have already passed here. In hell, all you need to do is become strong. But after coming back, I found that there are more things to worry about now. For example, returning to real life. I don't know where I am. I just emerged from the bushes. I saw a little child shouting for mom. There is a beggar here. So every time I come back, I try my best to avoid other people's gazes on my way home. I just arrived at Ju Jiao Yumin's house. I shouted out loud that I wanted to buy a house. Buy a house that looks like a hospital. There must be strong walls. There is also a disinfection room. However, Yumin said, the current issue is not about whether certain conditions can be met. Is there really no such house? That's not the case. Even though you have a lot of money, but all of it was earned through illegal means. and you are now someone who hasn't registered as an ability user, a scattered and powerless ordinary person. There is no formal job. These words pierced my heart deeply. It makes me feel very frustrated. Yu Min quickly explained, "This situation is not impossible to buy. It is easy to cause some misunderstandings. Dressed, I quietly stand aside and cook, but my mind was preoccupied with thoughts of buying a house. According to Yu Min, buying a house now is indeed not very realistic. First, we need to find a suitable house. And if I buy a house, the people around might find it very frightening. If you want to make a one-time payment of a large sum without drawing attention, first you need to register as an ability user to become stronger. The level also needs to be improved. Then you still need to choose the stars. Why can you only choose one star? They all possess great power. Can't I have it all?" Can you believe these are the words of the male lead? Even knowing that the world will eventually end, humanity will disappear. So what? If I had powerful strength, can survive, step on the whole world. I gripped the chopsticks tightly. No matter what. I want to gather all the power of the stars into my hands. Yu Min couldn't bear to watch any longer. Hurriedly said, "All right. Stop showing off with the chopsticks. Hurry and eat." The two people sitting at the table, looking at the television in front of me. Captain Lai Jitai of the Taizing battle team. "The expedition plan for the white-haired underground city has been announced. Seal off the white-headed underground city. The cause of all this is the overflow from the dungeon that led to the empire's downfall. I am also confused about what the phenomenon of externalization is." Yu Min explained. "It's the phenomenon of monsters escaping from the dungeon. However, the Whitehead underground city belongs to the 5 stars. The monsters there are also 5-star right. A monster of that magnitude. If we don't use weapons with magical powers, it is simply impossible to contend with it. I want to conquer that kind of place. It is essentially a gamble. Lai Jitai successfully completed the first domestic 5-star underground city. He probably just wanted to give it a try. But before that, all the teams said that the northern expedition was impossible to achieve. Then the TV mentioned again, the ability user registration exam will be held in 3 days. There is still a possibility of being recruited by the Taizing battle team. I slowly raised my head, watched it again. I confirmed the details regarding the registration exam. However, Yu Min was so angry that her whole body trembled. "Hey, how many times have you left? And you eat properly?" 3 days later, I arrived at the venue for the ability tester exam. It is noisy everywhere here. The most irritating thing is that the 50-year-old man behind me calls me uncle. I turned my head directly. "What did you say?" "That uncle must be frightened by my aura. Don't rush to apologize." This older man, surprisingly, I like to call others uncle. He shouted behind me to let go of the money a little. But at the moment I turned my head, that uncle instantly became timid. "Don't rush to apologize." But looking back, there are mostly older people. I scratched my head, thought it over carefully. Why was I in an orphanage as a child? Only I accept the judgment. The uncle sees that I am a newcomer, so they also introduced some basic things to me. The level needs to be assessed and approved by the Bureau. Only by improving oneself can one increase their value. I softly sighed. Level registration is equivalent to scoring. That's true. They are capable individuals who aren't afraid even when the other holds a gun. Only by rating individuals like this. Only by igniting their competitive spirit. Afterward, the empowered ones will naturally fall under their control. Pretty clever, huh? It seems that as long as you act slightly differently from others, they will soon have their eyes on us. If that's the case, I can only strike quickly before getting caught. It will be my turn soon. I walked into the hall of ability assessment. Identity verification is being conducted, ability value assessment and skill assessment. But when the inspector saw my qualification certificate, stunned in an instant. The certification is full of exhaustion. In real life, bright and spirited. Can this be a person? Next, conduct the ability value test. The first test is to place blood on the test strip. The second item is status detection. Simply put, this is a battle power measuring device. The average score for a typical man is around 100. Some are higher than this value. Some are lower than this value. It will be my turn soon. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. I reached my arm into this unknown device. There is a pearl inside. You need to hold on tightly to it. I forcefully pushed it in. A firm grip. With a crack, the bead shattered. Isn't it true that every comic book protagonist loves to cause chaos? I haven't put in my full effort yet. That bead shattered. The whole place fell silent. I quickly pulled my hand out. I hope no one saw. I nervously glanced at the inspector next to me. How could such a value appear? It can't be malfunctioning, right? Just did a quick check. It just broke down. The quality is really poor. How high must the level be? That's why such a situation occurs. I looked at the hand I had just taken out. Can't connect to the rational state detection. Machines are heading towards a better future. It might just be because this machine has been used for too long. I nervously pointed at the machine in front of me. Did I break the machine? The inspector explained that it was just a minor malfunction. This situation is very common. We will conduct the test for you again shortly. Watching them fumble around, I am also silently blaming myself. Should I use a little less effort? The machine was fixed in no time. The inspector asked me to grip the bead tightly again, but I think using a little less effort is definitely not wrong. I cautiously reached my arm in, but it was silent. You are not mistaken. That machine is broken again. They want me to do it again, but I am not willing at all. So I was labeled as under review for retention. Before long, a girl stood on the stage. Let's split into 3 columns. The attack class stands on the far right. The defensive line stands in the middle. The gain system or the uncertain stands on the far left. But where does my reserved opinion truly stand? So I asked the front desk. They banned my skills. It's hard to categorize. I want Tang Su. So I walked to the window to sign up for the hunter ability exam. He handed me a guidebook and said seriously, because this exam is co-hosted with Tai Star, so it will be different from before. There is still more. Let me repeat a few more things. When the hunter appears to be thriving on the surface, but hunters can also get hurt. It could be serious, even fatal. After all, only a very small number of people can make a lot of money. Most hunters are forced to take on multiple jobs due to job instability. Just because of this stone, I gained a power that was never meant to be mine. Saw the appearance of the future world. Caught the attention of the hero in my heart. Lai Zhiging got out of the car outside the door. It became noisy outside. Is everything ready, secretary? The secretary also replied. Ready. The butterfly clan has arrived. Although May teams are eyeing them closely. But you don't need to worry. After all, their purpose for coming this time is to join Tai Xing. Lai Zhetai seemed to already know their intentions. Speaking of, their goal is to participate in the Northern Expedition, instead of joining the Tai Star. But it doesn't matter. With their help, the Northern expedition would be much easier. They not only possess exceptional talent, judgment, skills, etc. Moreover, they have refused all team invitations so far. But as soon as they heard the news of the Northern expedition, I will come to take the exam right away. Then they walked towards the house. During the journey, Lai Zhigang asked about the situation of other newcomers. All the other newcomers are below level 20. Following the butterfly, I fell far behind. However, there is a special ability user inside. So I pointed to the gloomy dolly in the file. He is a power user with toxic blood in his body. After finishing, he slowly handed the file to Lai Zhigang, said, "These are the photos and videos taken during the inspection. The poison in his body is completely different from ordinary toxins. Looking at this bizarre blood, Lai Zhitai also sighed that it was very different, but also saw its shortcomings. Because of a slight mistake, let the blood spill and harm the companions. But it also piqued Lai Zhitai's interest. I plan to understand more." Then someone found me in the crowd, gave me something similar to a chip. Not a word is spoken. Turn around and left, watching his figure fade into the distance. I couldn't help but feel helpless. A sound rang out from behind. The once tightly closed door swung open. Others stretched their arms and walked in. So I followed them inside. This still eager defensive ability user. Entering the simulated underground city hasn't even been a minute. I knocked him out with a single slap. Here, the outcome is determined by who has more gold medals. The first place has a richer reward, so they approached me for collaboration. I had to refuse them because I couldn't distribute the rewards evenly, just as I was about to leave and go solo. The defensive giant tightly grabbed my clothes. Not only did they threaten me, but they also planned to take my badge after I left. I turned my head and slapped him. With a loud thud, the strong man collapsed to the ground, motionless. I also casually took the gold medal, looking at the remaining three with a sinister smile. "I forgot that you all have badges, too." Slowly walked towards them. "Whose turn is it next?" The man wearing glasses instantly raised his hand to surrender. "Do you think that saying you surrender will make me let you go?" The man directly threw the gold medal to the ground. I picked up the gold medal from the ground. "You give this to me. What will you do?" The bespectacled man pointed at the sign in my hand. "There is no notice regarding the punishment for losing points. In other words, you won't be disqualified from the exam just because you don't have a card. Moreover, the person you just knocked down is a defense-type ability user. The rest of us have no chance at all." Hearing his explanation, I clapped my hands. Also understood. "All right, as long as I get the badge. That's fine. It's up to you." The man also let out a sigh of relief. The tense atmosphere gradually eased. Lai Zhegang watched the screen in the monitoring room, said, "Truly deserving of being called the butterfly eater. They actually snatched all the tags of the people who entered together. He is about as strong as a 2-star ability user. If the entire butterfly eating group acts together, maybe we can conquer the Samsung underground city." The burly man beside questioned, "Is it really that impressive?" "If there is support, we'll definitely progress faster. But right now, there's no need to worry about grades. Time will ultimately reveal those with strength. Let's see who can hold on until the end. If we encounter the monster we prepared for, even someone as powerful as a butterfly would want to eat, it's also hard to handle easily." The hand looked at the robot in front of him, which he didn't even recognize. "What is that?" Lai Zhedeng replied, "That is an independently developed robot created by a certain industrial research and development team. Not only does it possess learning type attack armor, moreover, the surface material used is bun filled with mushroom monsters captured from the Chernobyl underground city. This male lead is just too invincible. Even several people can't defeat this kind of monster. The male protagonist unexpectedly delivers a punch and a slash. What lies before us is not a monster, but rather an independently developed robot created by a certain industrial research and development team. Not only does it possess learning type attack armor, the skin is made from the bayazi of the mushroom monster. It is precisely because of this. It has perfect endurance and magical reboundability. But in the male protagonist's eyes, this is a pile of garbage. Not only can't I speak, even the attack capabilities are quite limited. Using a scarecrow arranged by the system for beginners is simply worlds apart. It can be resolved in just a few moves. Looking at the trash robots scattered everywhere, the male lead's shout was really pointless. I grasped the wreckage of the robot before me tightly, used disassembly skills. Suddenly, the body shattered into pieces. The metal chip slowly fell down, looking at the metal chip in hand. This is a bit too easy, isn't it? But is it really that simple? In times of turbulence and unrest, a sound echoed through the venue. The match has already been going for 34 minutes, due to changes in 1/3 of the metal signs. So now we will publicly announce the list of individuals holding the most metal plates. Third place, King Kong 8 beats Red Lotus by 7 points. The second place Red Butterfly costs 9 pieces. Jiang Zion won 56. I squatted down leisurely and tossed the scarecrow's head, still complaining that the scarecrow is too simple. If only it were a goblin. Forget it. Let's first check our current equipment. I picked up a piece of meat from the bun invader that had just been decomposed. I thought I could obtain rare materials, get a good set of gear. The result turned out to be monster gear. This also sparked my curiosity. If those monsters and the scarecrow from hell are of the same kind, so they have this layer of skin. That's why it's so sturdy. I placed them on my arm. He began to slowly wriggle. His life became just fruit legs and sleeve ends. Even the golden Barbie in front of me can secure third place. How can I not keep striving? I stretched my arms, turned and walked towards the direction of the monster. However, the second place Red Butterfly had a much harder time. Looking at the number of gold medals on the big screen, not only fell into deep thought. Have I never surpassed him? Still in a state of panic, a large crowd appeared around the Red Butterfly to snatch the gold medal from his hands. Attacks transformed into beams of light and flew towards him. The Red Butterfly pushed forward with all its strength. Cracks appeared on the ground. The Red Butterfly soared into the air using the rebound force. Dodge each attack, but the beam has not stopped yet. The Red Butterfly can only evade again and again by relying on the surrounding walls. When all the beams converged together, the Red Butterfly waved its hand. The beams of light collided, displaying brilliant sparks. The Red Butterfly arrived in the midst of the crowd using a shockwave. One kick knocked out the 3 people below. The others take a few steps back, formed a large encirclement. The Red Butterfly in the center assumes a fighting stance, ready to face challenges at any time, but the people behind her were all knocked away. A bell rang, and her sister appeared before her. Said shyly, "Sister, you're too anxious. You'll get hurt like this." My score is still not enough. Scores are not the most important thing. Anyway, our goal is to participate in the Northern Expedition event, and we have already collected many brands. Right, looking ahead. The man wearing glasses also said, "That's right. There are a total of 88 models. But the red butterfly turned and left under the bewildered gazes of the crowd, just as I was happily playing. I want to fight for the second and third places and be the one who reaps the rewards. But the red butterfly also has a heart that wants to be number one. It slowly charged towards me. The male protagonist was still chewing on the meat slices that could paint him in rainbows. The next moment, a beauty with defined abs rushed over and was about to slap me. With a loud bang, the male lead was blown away, watching her surrounded by butterflies. She must be the second red butterfly. But you don't fight with the third. What do you want from me? Although I am first. But I dare not be the slightest bit negligent, because her level is twice mine. The red butterfly charged towards me with a punch. With a startled sound, I took several steps back. Just when I was still curious about why she had such great strength, she tensed her left leg to lure him in. Thanks to me, I couldn't dodge by taking a step back. If she kicks you, it will be a big problem. At that moment, her legs suddenly fell from the air. With a startled sound, a large pit appeared on the ground. Then came another kick. I almost didn't dodge it with a bend. Learning through the battle assistant. Avoiding it shouldn't be a problem. But there was simply no chance to counterattack. If this continues, we will lose. Squatting on the ground, I thought about the powerful strike skill I had acquired before. If that thing is used on a person, it seems a bit dangerous. So I have never used it. But for someone with her level of ability, it shouldn't matter much. The most important thing is that my stamina can't hold out. I watched her rush towards me. A bluish halo began to appear around my hand. The combat assistant has been granted the strong strike feature. I clenched my fist tightly. Way forward. With a huff, her fist collided. A dazzling white light erupted. A sharp crack. Her arm is broken. She protected her injured area, sitting limply on the ground. She lost. Then he threw the sign to me. What kind of girl is the hardest to provoke? That must be the spoiled King Kong Barbie. I don't even know where I offended her. She used all her strength to crash into me from behind. I was knocked to the ground and rolled several times, until they barely came to a stop against the wall behind them. Fragments from the wall have fallen everywhere. If you use a bit more strength, you might break your kidneys. I saw an acquaintance on the wall. His name is Jan Wang, with the flame of the Barbie. Eating butterflies is a group activity. Jin Gang bopped by, then ran to where the butterfly was eating. Inquire about her injuries. Then he glared at me angrily. If it weren't for Butterfly saying she broke me, she will definitely hang me up and spank me. I slowly stood up, but the raised arm still couldn't stop shaking. Hearing you say that, it's really frustrating. I was the one who hurt this guy. What do you want? The sound of the game ending echoed from the loudspeaker. I won second place. I covered my face of hatred with my hand. You actually gave the sign to her when I wasn't paying attention. I wanted to explain that this is a misunderstanding, but I didn't give her a chance to explain, turn around and want to leave. But the Iron Barbie still pushes her limits, using moral coercion on me. Let me apologize to the butterfly for hurting my arm. I took a deep breath, urging myself hard in my heart. Just bear with it. Don't draw too much attention. Think twice before you act. She must have been scared. After all, she came to find her team member. It was discovered that a team member's arm was broken. She must have been scared all day. But even if I can understand her feelings, but at least we should clarify things before speaking. But it seems like she completely blames me. I can still hold on, but I clearly won on my own. Now she not only helps to eat butterflies, stole my first place position. You still want to portray me as the villain. I can no longer tolerate it." I angrily turned my head. I must teach her a lesson. Mastery. A circle of black lines appeared on my body. With a swoosh it flew towards her, wrapped around her neck. But she is still crying out somewhere. I know you heard it all. Hurry up. The story isn't over yet. It felt as if I saw something terrifying. All the muscles in his body tightened. Monsters are roaring around me in front of her. Only she can see this. Crying out, he collapsed onto the ground. And the comforting hung lion beside her also turned into a demon in her eyes. The star granted me powers stronger than I ever imagined. This makes me even more eager to gain their power. But I can't think too much about it right now. You should run faster. It would be terrible if they found out. I don't know which old trickster set up a surveillance camera here. Completely record the process of my fight with the butterfly. The secretary, who watched it all, couldn't believe I could defeat the butterfly eater. Thought it was because the butterfly had big eyes. However, Lai Zhegang, sitting in the chair, did not think so. Said, "It's not that her eyes are too big, but the opponent's attacks were too precise. Can be understood. But this ability user is not even at level 10. Their strength is surprisingly strong. I estimate we'll catch up with the other hunters soon. It is probably for this reason as well. Lai Zhegang has developed a great interest in me. Ignored eating the butterfly and decided to see me first. I sat in the lounge, exhausted from managing the consumption of magical energy. Put a bottle filled with ice on my forehead. Worried that this state will last until returning to hell. In the future, it's better not to use this skill easily. A man slowly walked over, asking if I am Mr. Jiang Xianwu. I slowly raised my head to look. It is that muscular secretary. His name is Yan Mingxiu, the leader of the Taizin Battle Team's operations group. Come congratulate me on achieving excellent results and passing the exam. At the same time, he handed me a business card. They want me to join Taizin and serve them. I slowly picked up the postcard in my hand. Can I go to the stars with your help? He approached the car where Lai Zhegang was sitting. He came up and bowed, saying he was sorry. Lai Zhegang slowly lowered the window. It seems I have been rejected. Yes, no matter how I improve the conditions. He remains unmoved. I have already anticipated it. Such an impressive person must have some arrogance. He said something when he refused. He mentioned the stars. Can you believe it? As an ordinary person at the spiritual level, not only entering the hellish difficulty dungeon, also under the care of the stars. Grant me legendary skills. Completed the hunter exam. I am sitting in Min's car, holding some postcards given to me by headhunting companies. And these things are not important. I slowly picked up the box at my feet. That was the prize for first place. The moment it was opened. I also recall, after the match, it was the butterfly that apologized to me and handed me the first prize. This is what I deserve. I also scratched my head and accepted it. After opening the box, a pair of gloves appeared before my eyes. Wearing it can increase muscle strength, increase hand defense. But at this moment, the performance of Yuna was. By the way, the crystal stand you brought this time. I also sold it to Lin Huishuo. Sold it to that old man again. I feel like he's been putting pressure on me without saying anything. Even if sold to other places, delivering crystal stands, he will take it all away as well. I was just as shocked. Why is he so alone? Even if the value of the crystal platform is very high. But does one really need that much? There must be a mastermind behind him. And that guy is also need a lot of crystal platforms. If that's the case, where is Lin Huishuo not passing? Directly trade with them over there. This would be more beneficial for me. Lin Huishuo must also be an extraordinary person. Yu Min's words interrupted my thoughts. Is that the only reward there is? This also reminds me that there is still a bonus. I shook the box vigorously. The cloth used for wrapping fell down. There is an invoice at the back. I handed the invoice to Yu Min, and Ming also slipped from my lips. Yu Min felt a shiver run through her body, but seeing a total of 260,000 soft sister currency, still agreed to it. Spent 260,000 RMB to treat a girl to a barbecue. What would you think? After finishing our meal, we walked on the street. I puffed up my full belly. The association is really impressive. There are actually bonuses to be won for taking the exam. This indicates that their treatment of the hunters is quite extraordinary. So in the eyes of the public, hunters find it easy to make money. A reckless thug who spends money lavishly. I don't know if it's the grilled meat that's too fragrant. Am I just too handsome? Yu Min actually reminded me to be a little more careful. I feel there's really no need for that. I can spend my own money however I want. At that moment, I smell a scent of blood. I quickly turned my head. A wave of murderous intent swept towards us. I have a gloomy expression. Instructed Yu Min not to go home yet. Quick, get back in the car. Yu Min asked with a worried expression what happened. Remember to lock the car door. Don't come out before I leave. I slowly walked into the alley, looking at the streets filled with corpses. Speechless. What are you doing behind someone else's house? The person I was watching slowly raised their head and gave me a wave. Hello, Mr. Zhang Zianwu, long time no see. Then it was introduced that those guys are from the Second Nation gang, and those unclear crystal cards of yours. Something that could shake the overseas market. If it weren't for me cleaning up the mess in the back, Miss Yu Min might be in danger. I slowly walked towards her. So what? What exactly do you want to judge? I have a suggestion. I hope you can form an alliance with Tai Xing. I stepped forward again, but this time I didn't appear so calm, as if already knowing everything. It turns out the mastermind behind it all is Tai Xing. What a coincidence. I just rejected them. The old man raised his left hand, spoke with confidence. I have investigated you, but nothing was found. It's as if your information has been deliberately erased by someone. The old man leaning on a cane. To let me join Tai Xing. Help my sister defeat many enemies from the Second Nation. Still investigating my identity behind my back. You not only possess what is found only in the dungeon, the crystal plaque that can only be picked by those with talent. And I also heard that you are still in today's exam, showing familiarity with the dungeon, a person with such abilities. But he was just a sewer cleaner. Don't you find it a bit strange? Add, Mr. Lin Huishuo, please wait a moment. Although I don't know which organization you belong to, but do you want to team up with us, Tai Xing? Mr. Lin Huishuo, I am very grateful for your help, but the organization or something. It seems you have a misunderstanding. The old man pressed down his hat. The expression immediately turned ominous. It seems we need to find a different way to communicate. Next, it becomes a bit rude. Please forgive me. In this tense moment, the system also came to join in the fun, influenced by the title of the strongest in hell. Level comparison, ability values increase. A cane suddenly appeared in front of me. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. He leaned back and dodged. The shockwave from the stick stirred up clouds of dust behind it. Hello. Can you let me finish what I'm saying first?" At this moment I was still thinking. With his mediocre skills, "You don't pose any threat to me at all." I throw a punch with just a wave of my hand. A loud bang struck the old man's face. The massive shockwave made the old man realize. I brought the reward for being first place. "Hello, Mr. Lin Huishuo. This is self-defense." At this moment I stood before him in a fighting stance. "You insist on drinking the toast instead of the punishment drink?" Hearing this, I was filled with confusion. The old man slowly took off his coat and let it fall to the ground. An elderly man in fine spirits stands before me. "Since you don't listen to kind advice, then we can only respond. This old man with a cane is named Lin Yeshuo. He looks quite impressive. Take off your clothes now and kill me." With a swish, they threw the coat towards me. The cane came through from behind. I dodged to the side. "Grip the wooden stick tightly with your hand. I want to see what skills you really have." The coat fell to the side. A long sword suddenly appeared in front of me. Sword. "Hullo, hullo, hullo. You turtle grandson, if you can't win, just use a sword." So despicable. Before I could think it over, with a swift motion, it slashed towards me. I barely dodged it with a step back. A stream of sword energy rushed back towards me, thanks to activating the battle assistant just now. Just barely managed to dodge it. At this moment, I have been forced against the wall, holding oneself up tightly with hands. The cracks on the wall are strikingly alarming. But that did not stop swinging the sword because of my fall. Instead, it was decided that a sword would understand me. But that sword did not hit me. I leveraged the power of the wall to soar into the air. It landed smoothly behind him. I was just thinking I could sneak up from behind. But I didn't expect him to react so quickly. As I turned, another sword struck towards me. With a whoosh it came straight at my forehead. I turned my head and dodged. He was drawn forward by the inertia of the sword. This is an opportunity. I gritted my teeth and held tightly onto his neck. Mastered legendary skills. The old man's gaze gradually became vacant. Liang Liang was lifted up by me with one hand. I grabbed tightly. Just sleep well. Want to throw him out. But it was at that moment that he woke up. Cannot use strength to throw him out. The whole body came to a stop. Is this an illusionist's skill? That's truly a despicable tactic. The old man swung at my arm. The intense pain brought me to my knees. The scream echoed throughout the entire street. The old man raised the long sword again. "I deliberately didn't cut your neck, because I don't intend to kill you. All right. Can you answer my questions now? What organization is behind you?" I burst out laughing, swaying its body. "What's funny?" I grit my teeth and said with great difficulty, "Hello, Mr. Lin Huishuo. Did you forget?" The old man glanced at his sword. The corroded parts are already emitting white smoke. At this moment, he realized that my blood was toxic. While he was still contemplating, I reached out with one hand. With a sudden shout, he was pinned against the wall. The sword also fell to the ground. "It seems like someone as strong as you is missed. The toxicity isn't that bad either. Is this Mr. Lin Huishuo?" But I still overlooked the suppression of levels. Lin Huishuo raised his left hand. He slammed his elbow into me. With a snap, my arm is broken. The pain made me lose control over him. Can be stretched out. He used all his strength to kick me out. Butong shouted and sat down on the ground. The old man sitting on the ground, searching vigorously in their own chest for something, then took out a white bottle, opened the bottle bag, pouring it into one's own mouth with a splash. I slowly stood up, let out a long sigh. That should look pretty good. If there's anything left, please give me the points." I slowly rubbed my palm. The old man looked at me as if nothing were wrong. "Ming felt that your arm and ribs were broken. How are you still standing here perfectly fine? Do you still have healing skills?" I had a smile on my face. Just now, the system notified that stamina has dropped below 40%. Reborn with the privileges of the last survivor. I admit you are very strong, but I can't help but be reborn. You still can't defeat me." The old man slowly stood up, said submissively, "I just came to make a suggestion. We're not here to fight. Clearly, it was you who made the first move. I thought I could just look down on it a bit. I didn't expect you to resist so fiercely." The old man lifted his chin, thinking aloud, "What kind of background does the person who can command you have?" I puffed out my chest, full of anger. "Really, I already said there is no organization or anything like that. It's just me alone. Where did you get those high-purity crystals? This is something that commercial experience could never tell you." The old man slowly put away the arrow. "But if you join Taize, you can enjoy various benefits. Aren't you really going to join? I will not work under anyone. But if you are willing to come over to my side, I warmly welcome you." The old man also wore a cold smile. "It's utter nonsense. If you just want to say this nonsense, then I'll head back first," Lin Hui said. I thought he had no value beyond business. I didn't expect him to be an ability user. Not only is their strength formidable, moreover, they are very skilled in intelligence gathering. Thinking of this, I will be very happy. I suddenly broke into a sinister smile. It's a bit of a pity to give up like this. To be honest, what is so special about the Taizing? Not only is the scale small, the average strength of the personnel is also very poor. Taizing and Lai Jai Tai are just media darlings. Choosing Tai stars is not as good as investing in someone with potential like me. What do you think?" Lin Hui said, "Sir." Lin Hui said he heard my nonsense. Not the slightest bit shaken. He said lightly, "Someone who boasts like you. It can be roughly divided into two types. One is a fool without emotional intelligence. Another kind is the delusional, wasteful tyrant, arrogant and overconfident loser. HMPH. Really, is this what the person who almost lost to me should say? Does this old man have some special hobby? He likes to draw his sword when others do not obey him. Even if you pull out that corroded sword. I haven't even spoken yet. A sword Kai shot towards me. If I had planned to kill you from the start, you have no room to resist." The sword energy left a deep gash in the wall. There are many people in the Tai Star scene who are more impressive than me. Lai Jite's strength is above theirs. Do you understand this explanation? You are just a worthless level 10. You've got quite the attitude. How dare you still hide here? I erupted in a burst of purple light. I will prove it. I will be stronger than Lai Jitai. You tell me, to what extent do we need to reach? Can be compared with Lai Jitai. The old man bent down to pick up the clothes and let out a long sigh. Lai Jitai has been a hunter for less than half a year, has already reached level 20. Although there are environmental resources provided by Tai Star, it also benefited from his personal strength, but an ordinary person would need at least a year to complete it. He was twice as fast as everyone else. If you want to prove your uniqueness, at the very least, I need to reach his level. I clenched my fist tightly. You underestimate the male lead too much. 2 weeks. I only need 2 weeks. Then you can admit that I'm stronger than Lai Jitai. If I can do it, you will have to team up with me then. At this moment, the old man had already put on his clothes. It's really laughable, although I don't know where you are training. But I hope that place will be better than Laijetai's training environment. Watching his distant figure fade away, I let out a cold snort. Environment. The environment there is truly exceptional. At this moment, within the end of days star, difficult to cross into hell. I punched the goblin repeatedly, under my fierce attack. The goblin's arm began to numb from the resistance. I can't hold on any longer. He opened his mouth that reeked of bad breath, waiting for my fist to descend. A sharp crack echoed. My hand was tightly bitten by him. I forcefully pressed him down to the ground. A fist was forcefully shoved into his mouth. Things put in the mouth. I want to throw it up, but I can't. The goblin drank my poisoned blood, struggling violently and coughing. My name is Jiang Ziamu, originally just a crystal platform picker, inadvertently obtaining my father's belongings. Opened the opportunity to enter the dungeon, to prove his potential to that old man, embarked on a journey of self-damage while trying to harm the enemy. At that moment, I was punching the goblin in front of me. Severe pain. His arm gradually became numb. Just as my fist was about to strike down again, he has opened his bloody mouth wide, waiting for the return of the fist. With a crunch, my fist was tightly bitten. I endured the pain and gradually started to smirk. Forcefully shoved his fist into his mouth. The goblin coughed violently after drinking the poisoned blood, trembling all over uncontrollably. I gradually became abnormal, screaming wildly. Things put in the mouth. I want to throw it up, but I can't. That's right. It should be savored and spread like this. Eat it all up. With a violent cough, the goblin also died on the spot. I panted heavily, listening to the voice coming from the system. Current level, level 15, gained the attention of the Conqueror's star. I stood up and clenched my fists towards the starry sky, as if to protest against the stars, accompanied by my cries. I have bandaged the wound. I can't keep treating my body so carelessly. The long-lost mosquito spirit also reemerged at this time. Start to complain to me. That's right. We fairies are inherently afraid of fighting, and the scenes of your fighting are too brutal. I don't want to be around you anymore. Before I could ask him where he had gone, Lenin inserted the straw into my injured palm. Oh my goodness. Butler, what happened to your left hand? Do you want me to help you stop the bleeding? He didn't wait for my response again. Then he started slurping it down. I didn't pay attention to his behavior, but pondering everything before me. That's true. Although one can die and be reborn here, you can fight without regret, but not sure in reality. Can I also be resurrected? However, my strength is gradually improving, compared to every time we caught monsters before. They were all beaten to pieces. Now there has been a lot of progress. Confronting that guy, I might not have any chance at all. This is Jiang Zianwu's first impression. I killed so many goblins, but I never saw that guy. At this moment, the goblin trembled as it appeared before Jiang Zianwu. Biting down on my teeth, I laughed long and loud towards the sky. Perhaps this is how they express their dissatisfaction. Seeing this scene, Jiang Zianwu wrapped the health dart around his hand. As they shouted at each other, the battle officially begins. But who could have been wiped out by the male lead with just one move? With the system's prompt, the male lead awakens once again. This time, he embarked on a mission filled with rivalry. To succeed in the mission, the goblin must be killed. But the terror of that goblin was deeply engraved in the protagonist's mind. But thinking about my ability to resurrect infinitely, The male protagonist has come to terms with it. Suddenly stood up. Set up traps as usual. But before the male lead could carry out his plan, Jiang Zianwu was killed once again. This is already the sixth time Jiang Zianwu has been killed. Awaking once again, the male lead who came over, breathing heavily, I ran forward. The goblins behind him gave him no time to rest at all. Perhaps this is the best way to avenge a companion. The continuous deaths made the male protagonist consider hiding away. As the saying goes, hatred will only breed more hatred. Forgiveness is the true victory. So forget about that goblin. Focusing on leveling up might be the right choice. But the male lead is just a petty man who seeks revenge for a smile. In his eyes, hatred cannot be forgotten. We must not leave any future troubles. You have to make yourself suffer, you guy. Pay the price for one's sins. It's been several days since I've seen the male lead, the goblin. I couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. But who would have thought the male lead was right behind him? Want to throw him out. But he woke up at that moment, unable to use strength to throw him out. The whole body came to a stop. Is this an illusionist's skill? What a despicable tactic! The old man swung at my arm. The intense pain brought me to my knees. The screams echoed through the entire street. The old man raised the long sword again. I deliberately didn't cut your neck, because I don't plan to kill you. All right. Can you answer my question now? What organization is behind you? I burst into laughter, shaking its body. What's funny? I spoke through the excruciating pain. Hello, Mr. Lin Huishuo. Did you forget? The old man glanced at his treasured sword. The corroded part has already started to emit white smoke. At that moment, he realized that my blood was poisonous. While he was still in thought, I reached out with one hand. With a startled sound, he was pressed against the wall. The sword also fell to the ground. It seems that someone as strong as you is missed. The toxicity isn't that bad either. Is this Mr. Lin Huishuo? But I still overlooked the pressure of the hierarchy. Lin Huishu lifted his left hand. He slammed his elbow hard into me. A sharp click. My arm is broken. The pain made me lose control over him. He used all his strength to kick me away. Butong sat down on the ground. The old man sitting on the ground was searching vigorously for something in his chest. Then took out a white bottle, removed the bottle bag, pouring into their mouth with a splashing sound. I slowly stood up, let out a long sigh. That should look pretty good, if there is any left. Please give me the points. I slowly rubbed my palm. The old man looked at me as if nothing happened. Minaming felt that your arm and ribs were broken. How come you're still standing here perfectly fine? Do you still have the ability to heal with your breath? I wore a smile on my face. Just now, the system notified that stamina has dropped below 10%. Rebirth through the privilege of the last survivor. I admit you are very strong. But I can't stand it. I will be reborn. You still can't beat me. The old man slowly stood up, said reluctantly, I just came to make a suggestion. We didn't come here to fight. But clearly, it was you who acted first. I thought we would just have a little competition. I didn't expect you to resist so fiercely. The old man lifted his chin. Thinking aloud said, What kind of background does the person who can command you have? I stand tall, with a face full of anger. Really? I already said there is no organization or anything like that. It's just me alone. Where did you get those high-purity crystals? This is something that commercial incentives would never tell you. The old man slowly put away the arrow. But if you join Taizé, you can enjoy various benefits. Are you really not going to join? I won't work under anyone. But if you're willing to come over to my side, I warmly welcome you." The old man also wore a cold smile. "It's absolute nonsense. If you are willing to come to my side, if you just want to say this nonsense, then I'll head back first." Ling Huishuo. I thought he had no value beyond business. I didn't expect him to be an ability user. Not only is the strength very formidable, moreover, they are also very skilled at gathering intelligence. Thinking of this, I suddenly broke into a wicked smile. It's a bit of a pity to give up like this. To be honest, what's so remarkable about Taizing? Not only is the scale small, the average strength of the personnel is quite poor. Taizing and Lai Zhaitai are just media darlings. Choosing a Tai star is not as good as investing in someone with potential like me. What do you think? Mr. Lin Huishuo? Lin Huishuo heard my nonsense. Not the slightest bit shaken. Said softly, "Someone who boasts like you. It can generally be divided into two types. One is a fool with no emotional intelligence. Another type is the delusional waste of space. Arrogant and conceited loser. HMPH. Really? Is this what someone who almost lost to me should say? Does this old man have some special hobby? He likes to draw his sword when others do not obey him. Even if you pull out that sword that has been looked down upon. I haven't spoken yet. A sword aura flew towards me. If I had planned to kill you from the very beginning, you have no room to resist. The sword energy left a deep gash in the wall. Many people are more capable than me. Lai Jetai's strength surpasses theirs. Do you understand this explanation? You are just a worthless level 10. What a bold attitude! How dare you still linger here? I burst forth in a glow of purple light. I will prove it. I will be stronger than Lai Jetai. You tell me, how far do we need to go? Can he be compared to Lai Jetai? The old man bent down to pick up the clothes and let out a long sigh. Lai Jetai has been a hunter for less than half a year. I have already reached level 20. Although there are environmental resources provided by Tai Star, it is also attributed to his personal strength, but an average person would need at least a year to complete it. He was twice as fast as everyone else. If you want to prove Mingaming